And I think we're live.
I think we are.
Hi everybody, PJ Kwong at Skating PJ here with Tara Wilkins and our field producers who are off in the distance. We are devoting our very first, no it isn't, it's our second Skate Ontario Facebook Live. First one was with Dylan Moskovich, but we're our first Synchro Facebook Live. And we want to talk all about synchronized skating within Skate Ontario. Tara Wilkins here is a former skater on Burlington Ice Image, on Nexus. She's a coach. She's an all-around champion, and she is somebody who is also working on our synchronized skating committee. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah.
Great. So if you're looking to send us some questions or to make any kind of comments, just put them beneath the feed here and we will get them. So let's talk a little bit about Synchro in Skate Ontario. It's the second season where we're together after the amalgamation, and people might be surprised at how many teams there are. Synchronized skating is growing like gangbusters in this section. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple statistics here. In last season, in the section, there were 179 teams.
Yeah, and this year we have increased to, I believe it's 191, and I think it might be still growing. Yeah.
Like, that's remarkable when you think about it. I've got a piece of paper here, because I always like my papers, and I want to just give you a few statistics. We've got, first of all, how many categories is that?
A lot.
A lot. I want to say somewhere between 10 and a million, but there are lots and lots of categories in synchronized skating. There are 2 beginner categories, an elementary, 2 juvenile categories, 2 novice categories, intermediate, open, junior, senior, and 3 adult categories. And each of these categories has lots and lots of teams. Senior only has 1 team in
Ontario. In Ontario right now we only have 1 senior team, which is Nexus, at the current moment, and then there's 2 in Quebec.
So, and as far as junior teams,
junior is growing.
I know. We've gone from
great.
2 teams last year to 3 this year, which is very exciting. And in novice, we're looking at, again, a huge growth, almost doubling the number of novice teams from 4 to 7. So it brings about a few challenges, though.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about the challenges, because there are some of the questions that happened before we did this Facebook Live. We did sort of a bit of a canvassing of the community to find out what kinds of things people wanted to talk about. And one of the things people wanted to talk about was competitions and competitive opportunities. So what is the goal in terms of providing competitive opportunities for Synchro?
Well, right now there's a lot of issues with caps on competitions, so some teams are unable to get into those competitions, and Skating Ontario and the Synchro committee is working really, really hard so that we can minimize those caps so more teams can get in and compete and have a chance to compete.
So one of the things that's really important in terms of synchro competitions, and something that we don't always remember, is that there have always been synchronized skating competitions because of the popularity of the sport.
Yeah.
There have always been competitions where teams, where they've been full up, where teams haven't been able to compete. When you think about a 2 or a 3 or a 4 day competition, there are only so many hours of ice that are available, and only so many teams per hour can skate. So that's the reason for the caps. It's disappointing for sure, because I know that coaches are trying to get their teams into competitions where possible, and it's certainly something that Skate Ontario has heard and that they're working on to try and figure out how to increase the number of teams who can compete in competitions. But like, if we've gone not quite 10%, but about 7 or 8% higher in terms of total number of teams this year. And again, last time I checked, there are still only 24 hours in the day.
Yeah, and like over the last couple of years, a lot of people in the synchro community know our programs have become shorter too, to try and also get more teams on the ice per day.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of things over the last couple of years that they're trying to do, but in a given day, you know, there's 191 teams in Ontario, and at some of our competitions like Winterfest, a lot of the Quebec teams come, so it's not just for Ontario. So a lot of the Quebec teams come, and even I know my teams that I help in Newfoundland are coming this year to Winterfest.
I love Newfoundland.
Like, they're all coming
Quebec
down. Yeah, and so we want to give everyone a chance to skate, but with all those teams, it's like a week-long competition, so.
Yes, and then the other thing that we have to think about, my mom was a national level judge. So I took her to I was working at the 2003 World Synchronized Skating Championships in, where were we? I want to say Ottawa, I think.
Okay.
Let's go with Ottawa. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. In any event, she loved synchro, and she was too sort of far along in her career to start judging synchro, and she was also had some health issues. But we both are big synchro fans. I love what it does, and I would have been a synchro skater had synchro been around when I was
You
a
can
kid.
still do it. I have lots of adult teams you can come skate on.
Broken wrist. No. It's not happening.
Oh, okay.
But it would be a whole lot of fun, honestly. How much fun could we possibly have? But there are certainly things that when you're doing your planning at the beginning of the year as a coach,
Yeah.
what kinds of things are you putting into the mix when you are creating your training plan? Because you've got how many teams? 8?
I have 8 this season.
When do you sleep?
I do sleep. We competitions, like what competitions you're going to go to, is definitely something that we have to put into our plan before we even step on the ice. And then the same thing with the age categories and changes like that affects. For me, my teams are very remote. Tavistock, where I coach out of, is a very small club, so I don't have the population that some of the bigger clubs have. So you really have to try and fit like your teams into that mold, into like what fits each category. So for us, that's that, and then also how far the competitions are for us in Tavistock.
The travel.
Yeah, the travel for the parents, for everyone. Logistics around that.
Logistics.
Yeah.
Ooh, do we have a question from our field producer? No questions. That's something. So what we want to know, though, is if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to jump on into the comments box and just get to us, because that's why we're here, right, Tara?
Yeah.
Whether we want to be or not. We do want to be. We've been looking forward to this for quite some time. The other thing that I want to talk about is a little bit of the elephant in the room, but let's get to it, and that is adults are being reduced to 1 skate in competition.
Currently, the adult 3 team has been.
Adult 3,
Yeah.
okay.
They have been reduced to 1 skate. So in Ontario right now, I believe it's 33% around of all of our teams are adults. I feel like it's around between 30 and 40% of adults.
11%.
No,
actually.
but it's all the 3 of them together.
Oh,
Adult
all
1,
the
2, and
3.
3.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
1,
so
2, and 3. I'm
yeah.
sorry. I thought you meant just 3.
No,
Okay.
so all of the adult makes up a big chunk
30%.
of what's happening right
Yeah.
now. I think there's like 20 teams per
Yeah.
adult 1, A2, A3 in Ontario. There's a lot. And so in order to give everyone a chance to skate, I know that there were some teams last year for adult 3, they couldn't even get into competitions. They were on wait lists, and some competitions already have a gold round and a silver round. And to try and let more teams in, they reduced them to 1 skate. And it was definitely a bit of an uproar.
Well, I understand. I mean,
Yeah.
people are used to competing in a certain way, and they're used to planning in a certain way. So I completely understand how that works. But we also have to understand that as the sport grows and evolves, we have to make concessions for what's coming next.
Yeah.
I know that when I was a skater, and I mean, not a good skater, but I would have to be on the ice with really good skaters, like Olympic kind of skaters, and that's just because at the time the skating population was such that it wasn't very big. So all of the kids were on the ice at the same time, whether you were, at the lower end or at the higher end, because everybody needed ice time. So I understand what it's like, and I certainly feel for the coaches and the teams and the team management who are having to make changes. But it really is for the greater good. I really see it that way.
Yeah, I definitely am able to see it because I have little teams, like I have beginner teams, and then I have all of these adult teams. I have 4 adult teams. So when I look at it, if it means that a juvenile team will have 2 skates, and those are like 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds versus my adult 3 team, like we shouldn't be taking these opportunities away from the grassroots development. And my ladies are fine. I'm on board with it, so they're on board with it, and it comes from top down for me, so.
Well, I think that there are probably strategies, and if we all work together as a group, which is kind of the goal of all of this, is to have information sessions and to have Facebook Live so that we can, really look at ideas and look at different thoughts and look at different challenges that people are having and address them. Because the only way we can figure out how to do things moving forward is to figure out what people's issues are.
Yeah.
And we can only, I can only use my brain, you can only use your brain. So we're really counting on the community at large to come up with ideas and to be able to share their thoughts with us so that we can figure out.
And positive ones.
Yeah.
I think that this was a good positive change for Adult 3 because it's going to allow more teams to compete. And that's just really what it came down to, was Adult 3 teams weren't getting into competitions, and now hopefully we can allow more teams to compete. So
Now tell me about the issue of budget, because I've had a couple of coaches speak to me about the fact that this alters how they create their budget if they don't have a team that's skating twice. And that is because they can't field as many skaters, because it means if there is only one skate, then that means they have a limited number of athletes who can be involved. If you've got 2 skates, then you can make sure you've got more skaters available to skate each of the skates for experience. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that there's 2 sides to that, because there's one skate, you don't need to pay for like hotels and things like that, where before Adult 3 generally was 8 a.m. and at Bill Phillips they're at like 1 in the afternoon, so you don't have to like come in the night before and get a hotel. So it is a bit more of a savings for my Adult 3 team. But I know for me, I was in a situation, I took more skaters than I should have at the beginning of the season, and my goal was for them to rotate, so one girl would skate the first skate and another girl would skate the second skate.
I think that's what the coaches were talking
Yeah,
about.
and then this rule came out, so it changed things up. But we have a gala coming up on Saturday, December 1st in Tavistock, if anyone's interested.
What time?
It's 5 to 7. It's free. Donations
Nice.
only.
Wonderful.
All for the love of skating.
Those galas are so much fun. Really,
Yeah.
I love going to them if I can.
Yeah, so we do galas, and I know that like Gold Ice just had their gala, and they invited like a lot of teams to come to it. So for me, that's my plan going forward, is we're gonna do more of those types of things and pop concerts and galas, so that it allows for
Look at that, our field producer isn't answering the phone. That's it, they're out. Do you know, one of the things I love most about synchronized skating is truly that teamwork and that team sort of vibe. I was at the Grand Prix final in Barcelona, let's say 2015, but it might have been 16, and Nexus came and competed. They had, I think it was five or six synchro teams that were competing, but I was in the same hotel as Nexus, and it was so much fun to see everybody at breakfast in the morning, to see everybody in the hotel. And it wasn't just the skaters, it was all the support people that were around them that really make this such a great sport and such a great addition to figure skating, which is an individual sport. So to have all this kind of team stuff is really a whole lot of fun.
We're kind of like a different breed, and we stay together. And I did attend the Nexus Gala not too long ago, and when I was there was a lot of ex-Nexus senior skaters there watching and wanting to watch the team. And like myself, all the coaches that I see at competitions are all girls that I grew up competing against or skating with, and they're my closest friends now, because we're a little bit off. We're a little bit different.
So what is the biggest lesson as a coach that you are giving to your skaters? And tell me at the different levels, because obviously the lesson is going to be a little bit different whether you're talking to your little ones or you're talking to your adults.
Yeah. The biggest lesson?
Yeah, like what do you want them to take away from synchro?
I don't know, if I can just inspire one kid to love the sport like I do. When I started this 9 years ago, I had one team, and I never thought that I would grow to where I am. And like this year I was in Oshawa for nationals, and some of my kids were there with their moms, which I never thought in a million years that my little like pre-juvenile Tavistock kid would convince their mom to get a hotel and bring them to Oshawa. And I was there, and I was seeing all these kids, and like that's the number one thing. And then for the adults, I tell my Adult 3 like skaters every time they hit the ice just to love each other, like just to go out there and love each other, because they're really doing it because they really love it. and they love each other and they inspire each other. So I think like they're very different, but it's the same thing. It's just the love of the sport.
I want to talk about the fact that the working group is very intent on creating a strategy around, I think, making Skate Ontario synchro skaters the best in the country. That's what I'm thinking we're hoping for.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know we got together for 2 days here.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
We were here for 2 days straight in this boardroom.
Where we are now.
Yeah. Having some great people in the room, honestly, a lot of grassroots and then super competitive coaches in the room on the board or the committee, just talking about what problems we have right now, how we can fix them, lots of charts, lots of things.
Whiteboard time.
Lots of whiteboard time. But honestly, it was a great vibe and super positive. No, there was not really a ton of negativity. We're all kind of on board on how we fix the problem.
And tell me what it's like to be part. I mean, synchronized skating in Canada has a huge legacy. I mean, really. And you know, Quebec has amazing teams. Ontario has amazing teams. What would it take to spread that kind of joy of synchronized skating across the country? Good question, hey?
You didn't prep me for that question.
I know, but it's just you love it so much. So I want everybody who's watching us from everywhere to love it too.
Yeah, I just like, I go back to think about, so I'm going to date myself a little bit, but I skated in the 90s and the early 2000s, and there was just something about like running up into the stands and not having a seat and sitting in the aisles to watch like Kaleidoscope, or it was just a great feeling. And that's one of the things that I want to bring back to Synchro is like the kids running up to watch the other teams. Sometimes it becomes a very individual like team thing where they do things like away from the competition.
Yeah.
And like back in the day, we used to like sing like this Ontario like chant, and you could hear all of the Skate Ontario teams chanting this Ontario chant. And
she's bringing it back.
Yeah, I want to bring it back. Flash mob, come on, let's do this Ontario chant. But just things like that. Yeah.
That's great, because people don't realize, I mean, there's a huge push, I think, with today's parents. They really would like to see their girls and young women involved in team sports. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is a great team sport. Partly because really I like sequins and I like to be able to do my hair, but it's not about me. It's not about me. It's
I
maybe
love
about
sequins, I'm not gonna lie. So.
But the other thing is, you know, being able to go skate with, I've talked to so many synchro skaters. I mean, I've been doing commentary for synchronized skating since 2001. Talking about dating myself. Anyway.
I was skating then.
I know you were. Your face is familiar to me. But the funny thing is that every time I talk to somebody, they talk about the joy of skating with all of their best friends on the ice at the same time. And I think that there's something to be said for that. You know, to be able to go to, I hate to use this, it's kind of a cliche, but a safe place where you're just surrounded by your best buddies. You're all experiencing the, you know, as they used to say on ABC Sports, the joy of victory and the agony of defeat together. More joy of victory, we're hoping. But it's just that whole learning experience, that idea of being able to you know, learn these life lessons. Because synchronized skating is about dedication, hard work, commitment, athleticism, and, you know, competitive drive. And I think sort of like that integrity of being able to win with grace, and then being able to be equally graceful in defeat. So it's something that's very, very important. So if you could think of, are there any questions from our field producer? There's got to be.
Where are all you people? Team Unity, where are you in all your questions?
Where are you, Team Unity? You're going to get in trouble. That's all I can tell you. Now, it could very well be that our field producer doesn't really know how to find questions, but that's okay. Wait, our other field producer. Look at that. All right, before we sign off, I want you to tell me your 3 favorite things about synchronized skating.
Oh my gosh.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. I love the innovation. That's number 1.
Yeah.
I love the musicality.
My goodness.
That's number 2. I'm taking the good ones.
Oh yeah, seriously.
And I love the athleticism. Go.
Oh, it's terrible. I love sequence.
Okay, I'm there too.
Honestly, like, I'm so inspired by so many teams and like things that people come up with, and I see things in such a different way that when I watch programs and I see like just a simple line, just the way it's done, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to do that. And then I love the team atmosphere for me is just, I'm still on a team. Like I still have all my coaching friends that like they know who they are, but we're all like, they get me through every day. And Skate Ontario has been great. Good team, my Synchro committee, but yeah, the team atmosphere, you're never alone, so.
Well, we are getting ready to, do we have a question now, field producer?
Some people just love, just want to share what they love.
Oh, we're getting love?
Alana Murphy, oops.
Oh, that's
We
one of
lost
mine.
you. Thanks, Alana. And dress right.
Transitions.
Ooh, and the costumes.
Oh,
yes.
transitions. Oh, and dress rights. Yeah.
The friendships form. That's what I was talking about, Michelle.
So Michelle is actually, I have a traveling team and we go to, we went to Oberstdorf, to Germany. So on top of that, it's like an adult team force. We just go and we travel and we go compete internationally, and that's Michelle's from that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
So before we sign off, I want you to give me just a couple of next steps. What kinds of things are we working on as your working committee is kind of going through? What kinds of things are you considering? What kinds of things are you looking at? What can we make people feel that we're taking this seriously?
I'm going to talk, and then my field producer will tell me to stop talking if I need to. But I think
Broad
yeah,
strokes.
yeah, no, I think when we were just talking now, last year at regionals, there was a town hall upstairs that coaches were invited to go and meet with the Skate Ontario people. Now that we're 1 year in, just to talk about these issues and how we can help fix them, because we want to hear from the coaches. That's, if I could change anything in Synchro, like I feel like at the end of like a competition, the coaches should all come together for like a drink. Like, like yeah. I think like a little bit more socializing between like the coaches would be nice, because you know we're all doing this as coaches. We're very individual, and it would be nice if we could come together.
To share some information.
Yeah, and like, you know, not be strangers in the hallway all the time. I want to talk to everyone, so I might stop you. But yeah, I think that's what their plan is that at a few of the competitions there'll be an announcements for people to come, and we will hear concerns and discuss what the issues are and potential ways that we are going to fix them. Like, we're still ironing out things. We still haven't agreed on everything, and we're trying really hard to get everyone to compete.
Well, here's the thing that I want everybody to know is that nobody is ever going to agree all the time with everything, because it's human nature.
Yeah.
But everybody's heart, as far as I can tell, is in the right place. Everybody wants to move forward and make this the best competitive opportunity for all of the skaters across the province. So we're only a year in, we're still fine-tuning things, and you can always leave your feedback on the Facebook page, and certainly below this Facebook Live, we'll get it.
Yeah.
It's also going to be archived on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go there and subscribe there, please. Skate Ontario YouTube channel and our social media channels. We're Skate Ontario on Twitter and on Instagram. So guess what, everybody? We've come to the end of our first Facebook Live. We're going to have another one in early January. Did you know that?
Am I coming back? Am I going to be invited back?
I'm thinking so.
Oh, yay.
Just because
I'm just kidding.
Just because you lost the coin toss
Oh,
once.
no,
have to
it's
sit with
fine.
me.
That's the one thing that I just want to say is that our Synchro committee, we want to be really transparent. So we want to tell you everything that we're doing, and we want to give you all the information as soon as we have it all.
Great. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm going to start that again. Whoop. Take two. Do you know what, everybody? Thank you so much for watching Facebook Live. It's been a treat to be able to sit here with Tara Wilkins and just chew the fat. And I'm sure we're going to be back again to talk more Synchro. Thanks again, everybody. Bye for now. Say goodbye, Tara.
Bye.
Bye-bye.